Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. I thought I'd wait till the afternoon model series was in order to go through a few things because I want to illustrate what the problem is with regards to trying to figure this whole forecast puzzle out. By the way, the National Weather Service has put up blizzard watches already for Long Island, New York City, southern Westchester County, and for coastal Connecticut. And it's unusual because it's 60 hours before the start time. Usually they wait until they're at least inside 48 hours. So I'm not sure why they did it. Maybe because it's a weekend, they figured they better, put the word out now. I don't know. Be curious to find out what the reasoning is behind it. But let me show you what's going on. First of all, this is the new NAM model from late this afternoon. Okay, and I'm going to just back it up here. So we've got here's your northern energy with low pressure moving across Indiana and Illinois, and you can see there's energy here in the south. There's a low that's shown to be right along the central Florida coast. And that low moves northward. That's going to become our primary low here. But if you see what the NAM does, it just shoots it right up the coast as a coast tonguer, actually, right into Chesapeake Bay. This is at 1 a.m., actually 2 a.m. Tuesday, because we've been going on daylight saving time. We have the rain snow line, according to this, because it's a coast tugger almost to New York City at this point. And then you get into heavy snow into the 3 hours that follow. But by 7 a.m., it's all rain. And then after that, it's done. And suddenly the low, which pushes up on the NAM to New York City almost, or the central New Jersey coast, suddenly jogs east-southeast from there and then jumps up northeast. I usually have a good feel for when the NAM is onto something. And this is not one of those times. And the reason is because it doesn't really make any sense to me. Now, I want to show you the upper air because I think this really explains what's happening. And then we're going to go to the European model today. Now, here is the NAM's upper air view, and you can see it here. I'm going to outline what's happening in terms of the upper air structure. So you have here's your southern energy, the trough of representing the southern energy. Here's the northern energy, okay? And the NAM basically takes that and lifts it up and phases it together so that by the time you get to Tuesday morning, you have basically one trough and it's phased up together. So as a result, the surface low winds up coming up the coast as a coast hugger because of this phase. And you see the tilt here is what we call a negative tilt. When it tilts northwest to southeast, we call that a negative tilt. When it tilts northeast to southwest, we call that positive tilt in the upper air. Now that's the NAM, okay? Now I want to switch off to the European for the same time frame. And you're going to see the difference here because the European keeps the two streams as energetic as that northern stream energy is. The southern stream remains a distinct separate entity here for the same time frame. And because they're separate, and by the way, the GFS model and the Canadian model, the same thing. They keep the streams separate. Because that's separate, your surface low winds up going more northeast rather than north and not a coast hugger. That would keep cold air locked in to the northeast, and the European is so far east that all areas, including the coastal areas, would be cold, but they also would get slightly less in the way of precipitation. So ultimately, it's really going to come down to whether these two models are correct in terms of the phasing or not. And the European and the GFS, here's the GFS's view, and you'll see that the GFS is the same. It's got that, it actually probably has a little bit more of a phase on the GFS because the upper trough is a little closer than the European. As a result, you wind up taking a surface low up offshore, but it's a little closer to the coast, but still separate, unlike the NAM model. And the Canadian model is also the same idea with this sort of more unphased separate look. And here's the trough on the Canadian. Okay, it's the same idea. Total unphased look here. And in the end, that's what's important. Does it phase or doesn't it phase? Because if it phases, then you have a coast hugger, and it changes to rain probably all the way into the New Jersey-Pennsylvania border if that's the case. So let me just show you what it comes up with in terms of snowfall. We're going to start with the Canadian model, and I think I can get close up. These were the afternoon runs. And, oh, sorry, I went too far south. Let's get to the northeast view. I think after I finish this video, I'm going to take a bit of a break because I've had quite a busy day. I'm going to just tell you that after looking at all the models, the Canadian to me today, in terms of how it illustrates the snowfall, probably has the best compromise idea, okay, which would be a general area of 1 foot plus snows like this, and then you get into lighter amounts as you go away from that. So I think that there's the risk is right in the area that I've drawn in. I am capping the upside. I know I've seen people throw these ridiculous numbers out there. And look, here the bottom line with systems that wind up being these, big snow producers upwards of 2 feet or more, okay? You really don't know that that's going to be the case until you get really inside the 36-hour time frame, and even then it's kind of shaky. You can only guess, off the models in terms of how much precip they're producing. I don't see the point in going for trying to put up some kind of upside from this. And frankly, I'm thinking that because of the timing, that this is going to be there's not going to be enough time to put down more than what's being forecasted, okay, based on what I'm looking at right now. The European, which has the most eastern view in terms of snowfall, in terms of track, would be a 9 to 12 inch maximum snowfall. And I think that's underdone because of where it takes the coastal low, which it takes it much further, further east than any of the other models on this afternoon's run. And by the way, I should also mention too that the ensemble European run, all of the ensemble members, every single one of them, is to the left of the operational, which is really unusual. Usually they're scattered around, and the operational sometimes is maybe a little bit in the middle or a little right or a little left, but to have the operational in one spot, all the ensembles to the west, is pretty unusual. So here's the Canadians track. I look at this track and I think, what, this kind of makes sense to me. So the reason why I'm capping the upside is the fact that it moves along and it gets out. It's not stalling out or anything like that. So if this is right, it would say that snow develops in the snow moves into the Washington D.C. Baltimore area during Monday evening, and then reaches New York City by about midnight, and then it's snowing hard for the morning commute in almost all of New Jersey except the southeast, and through all of eastern Pennsylvania, back to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, over Long Island and southern Connecticut. And then from there, by afternoon, the low is moving out, still snowing at a fairly good clip with the heaviest snows shifting to eastern Long Island. And by evening, much of the accumulating snow by 8 o'clock at night is just about done with. So I think the Canadian models track and the way it outlines the snow and in terms of in terms of the progression of precip seems like it's a fair compromise between the European and the GFS. This was the GFS from earlier today, just to show you. And the GFS, has moved away from this this coast hugging track. So now it does have an offshore low, although it still wants to try to bring the rain snow line almost to the south shore, just about to the south shore of Long Island and into Sandy Hook in New Jersey. But it stays snow there, and in New York City it stays all snow, and then the low moves out over Cape Cod. So the track is pretty similar to the Canadian. The European is on the eastern side of this envelope. The GFS is on the western side in terms of the global models. The NAM is the furthest west of them all, and I think that, as I said, I think the NAM. Normally, my gut will tell me when the NAM is onto something, and I don't think this is one of those times. The more unfazed look makes more sense. We've gone, this entire winter not seeing phasing going on. So why it would start now? It would be a first. I can't completely discount it. It is always a possibility, but for the moment, at least, we pretty much are kind of taking a compromised look at all this, and we will reevaluate and continue to reevaluate for another 2 days. I'm getting to the point where I want these things to be over with before they even get started. But it don't matter. This is my lot in life, and this is what I have chosen to do. And as much as I might sound like I'm complaining about it, I do enjoy every minute of it. So we'll leave it at this. We'll leave it here at that. Let me just pull up my forecast. I'll show you what I went with. I should have apologized. I should have pulled the map up before. My internet connection seems to be a little bit slow at the moment. But here's your blizzard watch for New York City, for Long Island, southern Westchester, and the southern counties of Connecticut. Winter storm watches up everywhere else for the Hudson Valley, and then they extend down through all of New Jersey and through eastern Pennsylvania. Now, hopefully, my website for some reason is busy today. I wonder why, and maybe that's why it's taking forever to load. Come on. It doesn't want to let me get in there. All right, maybe it'll let me go now. Well, you can kind of see it here. Sorry about that, folks. I guess I should have prepped it up a little sooner. Sometimes I get very, the thought comes into my mind, let me show you something, and it's there and it's not there. Okay, you know what? I'll put the link up on the card above to my website, to meteorologistjoechaffee.com, and you can check out what's going on with the latest on my snowfall predictions and all the other analysis. If you really get into it, there's a lot there. Latest snowfall maps from the National Weather Service are there too. Angry Ben has the New York City perspective. He's on pretty much on the same page with his counterpart Joe Stradamus, which is me, as far as what we expect. Specific forecasts on the app. Download it and subscribe. 99 cents a month. Link up at the top here for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Hudson Valley, and Connecticut, and eastern Pennsylvania. So everybody have a great rest of your Saturday, and we will update you again. I'm sure we'll be on a couple of times on Sunday.